by accident. There were two physicists out at Bell Labs, Davidson and Germer. They're doing an experiment. It explodes. They fix it by the nickel crystal they were firing electrons on got tarnished. They heated it up, and when they heated it, they unwittingly changed the experiment into what we're going to look at right here. And what they found is when you fire the electrons at the barrier with the two slits, you don't just get two bands, you get more bands. And that simple change, going from our expectation of two bands to, in this case, 5 bands, that represents the single greatest upheaval in our understanding of reality that the species has ever encountered.
Why does that happen?
Imagine waking up tomorrow to find out that everything you believe about time, space, and reality itself was wrong. Not just slightly wrong, completely inverted. Your memories, your choices, the events of history, all of them shaped not by an objective universe out there, but by something far stranger, something happening inside you right now. This isn't a movie plot. It's the unavoidable conclusion of a series of experiments so unsettling, even the scientists who ran them struggled to sleep at night. And when you hear the final piece of this puzzle, the secret I'll share at the end of this video, you will understand why ancient mystics, quantum physicists, and cutting-edge AI researchers are all quietly whispering the same thing. The world you live in is not what you think it is. In 1964, physicist John Bell sat in a dim office in Switzerland scribbling equations that made no sense. Until they did. He had just proven something outrageous. If two particles interact, they remain connected across any distance, instantly sharing information as if space itself didn't exist. Bell's theorem was more than math. It was the death sentence for the comforting idea that reality is local and fixed. Decades later, scientists would prove Bell right by splitting a single photon in two, sending each half to opposite ends of a city, and watching them react in perfect synchronization. The implication: the universe is not made of separate pieces, it's one seamless whole. And if that's true, where do you end and the universe begins? Now let's rewind 2,500 years to a desert in ancient Egypt. A hooded figure known as Hermes Trismegistus recorded a statement so radical, it was hidden from the public for centuries. All is mind. The universe is mental. For the few who understood it, this wasn't a metaphor. It was a precise description of reality, the same description Bell's equations hinted at. The ancients were saying what modern science is just now proving. The boundary between thought and matter is thinner than we ever imagined. But if the mind truly shapes the material world, what shapes your mind? Fast forward to 2019. In a secure lab in Tokyo, researchers fire electrons through a quantum computer chip. The data comes back bizarre. Changing the way they plan to measure the particles in the future changes the behavior of the particles in the past. Yes, the past. It's as if reality is a movie where the ending rewrites the beginning. This is not science fiction. It's Wheeler's delay choice experiment, replicated and verified. And if time can bend to the will of an observer, who exactly is running the projector of your life? 3 stories, 3 different centuries, 1 terrifying pattern. The more we look at reality, the more it behaves like a thought, not a thing. And yet, there's one piece missing. A missing link so profound that when you grasp it, you'll never look at your own mind the same way again. I'll reveal that before this video ends, but first we need to dive into the experiment that started it all. The year is 1801. England is in the midst of an industrial revolution. While the world obsesses over steam engines and mechanical looms, a quiet genius named Thomas Young is about to spark a revolution of the mind. Young's goal seems simple: settle a scientific debate. Is light a stream of particles as Isaac Newton declared? Or is it a wave like water or sound? He builds a simple apparatus. A single light source aimed at a barrier with 2 tiny slits, and behind that, a blank screen. If light is made of particles, 2 bright bands should appear. But when Young turns on the light, What appears on the screen is something no one predicted. A shimmering pattern of many alternating bright and dark bands, like ripples on a pond. Jung doesn't realize it, but he's just torn open a door to a place where reality itself starts to flicker. More than a century later, in the early 1900s, physicists revisit Jung's setup, but now they can fire single particles one at a time. Even then, the interference pattern still appears. It's as if each particle is somehow passing through both slits at once, interfering with itself. But then they add one final twist, tiny detectors to see which slit each particle passes through. And the moment they look, the interference pattern vanishes. The act of observation changes the outcome. It's not just light behaving this way. Electrons, atoms, even some large molecules show the same eerie trait. Before they are measured, they exist as a blur of possibilities. The instant they are observed, those possibilities collapse into a single reality. This raises the question scientists have been running from for 100 years. Who, or what, is the observer? In quantum mechanics, before you look, the universe is a wave of probability. When you look, the wave collapses. But look closely at that word, collapse. It's not just physics, it's a creation event. Your attention doesn't just witness reality, it selects it, which means the double-slit experiment is not about light. It's about you. It's about the terrifying, liberating possibility that your mind is not inside the universe. The universe is inside your mind. If your mind truly has the power to select reality from an infinite sea of possibilities, the next question is obvious. How does it do it? For decades, scientists dismissed this question as philosophical fluff, but one man refused to look away. His name was Max Planck, the father of quantum theory, and after a lifetime of studying the smallest building blocks of existence, he reached a shocking conclusion. There is no matter as such, he said. All matter originates and exists only by virtue of a force, and we must assume behind this force the existence of a conscious and intelligent mind. This mind is the matrix of all matter. Think about that. The man who gave us quantum physics was telling us the universe is mental at its core, that consciousness is not a byproduct of atoms, but the source from which atoms themselves emerge. This flips the modern worldview on its head. We are not tiny specks of dust drifting through a cold, indifferent cosmos. We are participants in its creation, every moment. The mechanism behind this isn't mystical, it's measurable. Neuroscientists now know that your thoughts are not just invisible clouds floating in your head. They are real, physical patterns of electrical and chemical activity. Every time you think, your brain generates electromagnetic fields. And here's the strange part. These fields extend beyond your skull. They interact with other systems. Your nervous system, your body chemistry, even the electromagnetic fields of the space around you. Your mind is not sealed inside your brain. It's plugged into the fabric of reality itself. Ancient Hermeticists called this process mental transmutation, the art of changing the state of matter by first changing the state of mind. In the laboratory, physicists call it the collapse of the wave function. The terms are different, but the principle is the same. Consciousness directs the flow of energy into form. Let's make this real. Imagine two people in identical situations. Same job, same challenges, same resources. One spends their days focusing on everything that's wrong. The debts piling up, the unfair boss, the hopeless economy. The other focuses on what they can do, the skills they can develop, the opportunities they can spot, the connections they can make. The external situation might start the same, but within months, their lives look completely different. Why? Because the first person is unconsciously selecting a reality of scarcity and frustration, while the second is consciously selecting a reality of growth and opportunity. And reality responds. This isn't just positive thinking. Positive thinking is wishing for better outcomes. Conscious creation is selecting them over and over with your attention, emotion, and intention until the universe has no choice but to rearrange itself. Consider the placebo effect. A patient is given a sugar pill but told it's a powerful medicine. Their belief triggers biochemical changes. pain vanishes, tumors shrink, diseases go into remission. For decades, doctors shrugged this off as an odd curiosity. But now we know it's the mind demonstrating its ability to alter the body at the cellular level. Placebo is not the exception, it's the proof. In fact, Dr. Joe Dispenza's work shows that people who combine focused thought with elevated emotion can create measurable changes in their biology in days. Heart rate variability, immune system markers, even gene expression, all shifting without a single physical intervention. When the mind and the heart agree, reality follows. But here's the most dangerous and empowering truth. The mechanism works both ways. Whatever you give your attention to, you collapse into reality, whether it's what you want or what you fear. That's why most people unconsciously create the very things they're trying to avoid. They focus on debt instead of wealth, illness instead of health, rejection instead of love. The universe, like a mirror, reflects back what you project. It doesn't care if it's wanted or unwanted, it only responds to focus. Physicist Henry Stapp took this further. He proposed that conscious intention doesn't just observe reality, it actively shapes it. Intention, he said, is the steering wheel of the wave function collapse. You're not a passive passenger in this universe, you're the driver. Every thought is a turn of the wheel. Every emotion is a press on the accelerator. Now think about your own life. What have you been rehearsing in your mind every day? Which possibilities have you been feeding with your attention? If you've been replaying worst-case scenarios, you've been strengthening their probability. If you've been living as if your dream is already real, you've been strengthening that probability. The field doesn't decide for you, it reflects you. This is why spiritual practices like meditation, visualization, and affirmations aren't just feel-good rituals. They are the mental equivalent of programming a computer. When you sit quietly and imagine yourself healthy, wealthy, loved, or at peace, you are literally feeding those possibilities with energy until they crystallize into form. David Bohm, one of the most visionary physicists of the 20th century, believed that our reality is like a hologram projected from a deeper, hidden layer of existence he called the implicate order. In that hidden order, everything already exists in potential. Every version of you, every outcome, every reality. Your consciousness decides which version gets decoded into the experience you call now. If you understand this, you realize something revolutionary. Life isn't happening to you. It's happening through you. You are not at the mercy of fate. You are the author, the projector, the one behind the curtain. And the missing mechanism, the big secret that ties all of this together, is simple yet staggering. Reality responds to the state of your consciousness like clay responds to the sculptor's hands. Change the sculptor's vision and the form must follow. So the question is no longer, is it possible? The question is, what reality will you choose to create next? Because the moment you decide, the universe begins to rearrange itself to match. If you've made it this far, you already know this is not the kind of truth you hear once and forget. This is a principle you live. And if you want to go deeper into these teachings, where ancient wisdom and modern science meet, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. The next video will not only show you how to use this mechanism deliberately, it will give you a daily method to do it starting tomorrow. The kind of method that turns theory into transformation.